Thank you for attending this great seminar today. This seminar actually is a 2020 Science and Technology Seminar sponsored by Corporation Diplomacy. The seminar was designed for the new and young scientists in Singapore to enhance their networking and also find out their own research path in Singapore and also for their own career. So the seminar title is Ways to Revitalize the Network and Korean Young Scientists in Singapore and to Strengthen Their Competency for Tenure. So there are 4 important speakers for this seminar, and I hope that you can get good information for your own career and also for your network. So the first speaker is Prof. Changjin Huang from Nanyang Technological University. He's an assistant professor in School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering at NTU, and he received his bachelor degree in thermal and energy and power engineering from University of Science and Technology in China in 2008, and he moved to US to continue his PhD in University of Pennsylvania State University. And then before he joined NTU, he also was doing research as a postdoc fellow in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Northeastern University from 2014 to 15. He actually working at NTU as an assistant professor for more than 4 years, and then he had many good papers during his periods. So I hope that he can share his experience as an assistant professor in Singapore, working on many interesting and important topics. And then hopefully you can enjoy his speech. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. This is Changjin Huang from Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. I'm an assistant professor in School of Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering. As MPI, I have been used to giving talks to introduce my own research, mainly to those who are in the same research field. This is part of my responsibility as a PI to make my research more visible to the community. However, when I was invited to give this talk, I was really not sure whether I should accept it or not, because this is not my field. However, on a second thought, I do feel that I have a lot to share with you on this topic, although I'm not a social science professor. After studying and working in academia for so many years, I have met many good friends and established fruitful collaborations with my connections in academia. So all those experiences are quite valuable to me. So based on my own experiences, I can say that building good networks is never an easy task, especially for early career researchers. So today, by reflecting on my own experience, I will share with you my understanding of networking in academia, and also share some tips, hopefully that you can use to help build your own networks. So I really hope that my talk will be helpful to you. So this is the outline of my talk. I will introduce you my own understanding of academic networking and why networking is so important in academia. I will then share some tips with you regarding how you can build your own academic networks. So I will try to reflect based on my own experience. Networking is a process that fosters the exchange of information and ideas among individuals or among groups that share a common interest. Academic networking is essentially building your networks in academic environment. In my opinion, An academic network is a kind of a mutually beneficial partnership on the basis of equality and collaboration. Believe it or not, building academic networks is happening all the time in your daily life. So for example, as an undergraduate student, you are networking when you are making friends with your classmates. As a graduate student, you are actually networking when you send emails to your thesis community members. As a postdoc researcher, you are networking when you present your research results or asking questions in a conference. It's very important for you to be aware that you could promote, but could also destroy your academic networks when you're doing your routine tasks. So this is very important for you to be aware. No matter how, whether you are an undergraduate student, a graduate student, postdoc, or young PI just like me, you all have a professional network. So some of us build a small network of people, mostly in the same field, but some build widely diverse networks. If you are familiar with the idea of 6 degrees of separation, then you know that it's a theory where everyone is only 6 people away or even less from any other person through so-called friend of a friend connections. If there is someone that you want to meet, you can probably find a way to meet them through your networking connections. This is how powerful your network connections can be. You will soon realize academia is a very small world, not even to mention those who are working in the same research field. For example, if you attend the same conference in your field every year, you'll notice that you're always seeing nearly the same group of people year after year. And networking is a vital skill for furthering your academic career. Many of us make the mistake of thinking that networking is only beneficial in the business world or in other industry careers, but that's simply not true, because networking in academia is just as important as it is for careers in industry or business world. Our academic network could include future colleagues, supervisors, or collaborators. So scholars who are connected and collaborative will enhance their chances of progressing further and faster in their academic careers. While many of you have already begun networking during graduate school or even before, there are still many who are not comfortable doing so. It can be very challenging for some people, but just a breeze for others, because different people have different personalities. But good thing is that networking is a skill that can be intentionally harnessed over time or practiced as long as you want to. While it could be intimidating for you to speak to strangers in a big conference, you can start with trying to make new friends with your peers that you meet on campus, or asking questions in the regular group meetings within your own research group. Over time, you will build up your confidence and feel more comfortable to make new connections outside. In fact, initiatives to support early career researchers in building and developing their careers are usually provided by higher education institutions like universities, as well as those local and international research societies. Most international research associations will host specific network sessions for young researchers, including PhD students and postdoc fellows. The intention is to promote their capability building and collaboration and networking. All you need to do just to step out your comfort zone and start to make good use of those great initiatives which are available around you. So the importance of networking in business world or other industry is very clear to everyone. In fact, as I have already mentioned, networking in academia is as important as careers in other industries or business world. First, on a high level, so scientific research has advanced from interdisciplinary to so-called interdisciplinary. So previously, you only need to know the knowledge within a single discipline in order to do the scientific research within a field. But nowadays, you have to know knowledges in very different disciplines when you work on those interdisciplinary research, so which requires contributions from researchers in very different disciplines. So I can take my own research field as example. So I work on cell mechanics, more focused on mechanobiology. So solid mechanics as a branch of continuum mechanics studies the mechanical behavior of solid materials, which used to primarily focus on engineering materials such as metals, ceramics, and polymers. But in the last few decades, researchers found that mechanical forces can also be sensed by living cells and further affect their biological functions. Now, new research focuses on how physical forces and changes in the mechanical properties of cells and tissues will contribute to the development of cell differentiation, of physiology, and even disease has now naturally emerged in the field of mechanics. And mechanobiology has emerged as a new field of science at the interface of biology, engineering, and physics. For such an interdisciplinary field, close collaborations between mechanicians like myself and biologists are absolutely necessary to further advance this field. Another good example of such interdisciplinary research field is nanomedicine, which lies at the interface among material science, engineering, and biology. When working on such interdisciplinary fields, your research can easily get into the so-called blind spots of your knowledge. In that case, effective professional networking can provide you access to very quick conversations for expert opinions that can provide real-time insights about your research, so which will benefit your research significantly. In addition, universities across the world has also started to recognize the value of networking in international contexts, mainly as a way of fostering research collaboration, mobility exchange, and curriculum improvement from a global perspective. There are many international programs that are trying to promote collaborations among universities in different countries. For example, the Aspire League is a consortium comprising the 5 well-known universities in Asia, including Nanyang Technology University, the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Korean Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, Tokyo University of Technology in Japan, and Tsinghua University in China. It was established back in 2009. It's mainly to form a hub for innovation in Asia through the advancement of science and technology and the development of human resources. The Aspire League pursues these goals through the promotion of educational and research exchange involving students and researchers of the 5 member universities. So there are many similar international programs that try to promote international collaborations. There are also other joint research grant schemes that provide opportunities for researchers in universities from different countries to form a team and work together. For instance, the Singapore South Korea Academic Industry International Collaboration Grant is jointly announced by A-STAR in Singapore and the Korean Institute of Advancement of Technology in Korea to encourage collaborations between researchers in Singapore and also South Korea. So there are many this kind of grant schemes that are trying to promote collaborations between different countries. So on a personal level, you can use networks to leverage the people you know to help advance your own academic career. So currently, universities focus a lot on publications, research grants, and a global recognition of your research when it comes to tenure promotion. In fact, networking can help all those aspects. So first of all, networking can bring you so much more opportunities. It could be a new job positions, all the opportunities that can make your job or promotion applications look good. As a PI, I constantly look for new students and research staffs to further expand my own research team. The way how I identify potential candidates is to check with my connections in academia to see whether they have anyone to recommend. It turns out that this way is so much more efficient than posting the job ads on the internet and trying to sort out hundreds of emails. It just turns out wasting so much time and so much effort. And more importantly, hiring someone that is recommended by someone that I already know, it just gives me a peace of mind because I can easily check with my connections to easily find out whether the candidate has the right personality or working attitude. And those attributes are critically important, but they cannot be easily assessed from the candidate's resume or just from one-time interview. So if any of you are currently looking for jobs, whether it's PhD or PhD or postdoc positions, I strongly suggest you to make good use of your supervisor's academic networks whenever possible. Networking can also bring you opportunities to help promote your research work and enhance your visibility in your field. For example, from time to time, I'll receive invitations asking me to contribute to special issues of journals that my academic connections are trying to organize. I also receive invitations to contribute book chapters and also invited talks in conferences. So believe me, those are very common situations, and as if you have good networks in your field, and those provides so many opportunities, which will affect your career in a positive way. So networking can also be an efficient way to find out what other people in your network are doing, which may inspire new research topics for you to work on. I can give you an example that I recently have a research manuscript accepted for publication in a journal called Plant Physiology. Frankly speaking, I'm not an expert in plant science, so I never ever thought I would publish in a plant science journal as a main author. This work started from a very casual conversation with another young PI at NTU, Professor Ma Wei, who is an assistant professor from School of Biological Sciences at NTU. His research focuses on the gene regulation of plant oil biosynthesis. Because we were both relatively new at NTU, we got to know each other in another occasion, and then we became close friends, and we have lunches together from time to time. In one of our lunch meetings, he was sharing a science paper that he read on how plants alter a chloroplast membrane lipid composition in response to dehydration. He told me that it remains unclear how the change in lipid composition affects the function of chloroplast, especially during dehydration in this field. I was really excited to hear what he said, because I know this is something I might be able to contribute using molecular dynamic simulations, which is a very common technique that we have used to simulate lipid membranes from mammalian systems. But we never did any simulation work on plants. Now, you know what happened afterward. So after the launch, we had more discussions, and we decided to work together on this program. And eventually we actually published this plant physiology paper together. So we actually even wrote a grant proposal together later on, and was successfully awarded. It's an amazing experience. Now we are not only personal friends, but also very close collaborators. So I could never have worked on this area if I were not networking with Professor Ma. So I actually have many similar experiences like this one with my other collaborators. So another important benefit that networking can bring you is the opportunities to be involved in large-scale research grants. For example, the Singapore Ministry of Education, MOE, its academic research fund Tier 3 research program usually comprises several research project groups with a total budget of around 10 million for 5 years. Since similar large-scale research grants include the NRF, National Research Foundation's Competitive Research Program, CRP. As a young PI, it will be very hard to lead such programs but it does not mean that you cannot have chance to contribute to such large-scale research grants. In fact, good networking may help you get involved as a team PI or collaborator in those kind of programs, so which will be a great benefit to your career. In addition to all the benefits that networking can bring you from all the professional aspects, networking can also promote sense of community and social support in individuals' well-being. We all know working in academia is definitely mentally challenging because you are always working on new projects. You are switching from one project to another, and you are always facing new challenges, which is something I like, but it can also be very stressful sometimes, especially when things are not going as expected. For example, when you submit a grant proposal and got rejected, you submit a manuscript and the review was just a disaster. And also as young PIs, there are just so many demands that we have to meet in order to survive. So we need to teach, we need to give lectures, we need to publish papers, and not just regular papers, we need to aim at top journals, good publications. We need to write grant proposals so that we can secure external grants and provide more funding supports to the team. We also need to do all kinds of services. For example, we need to mentor undergraduate students. We need to serve as reviewers for journals and also some grant proposals. And we also need to give seminar talks or presentations in conferences, and the list can go on and on. And all the tasks are just taking so much effort and time. And a recent international survey of over 2,000 university staff views work-life balance found that many academics feel stressed and underpaid and struggle to fit in time for personal relationships and family around their ever-growing workloads. It will be very hard to survive without support from others, and everyone may need help from time to time. If life feels too chaotic to manage and you feel overwhelmed, I'm sure it will be very helpful for you to talk with someone in your network who can really understand your struggles. Those are something that you don't want to share with your family members. So having good networks will make your working environment more pleasant and enjoyable. So regarding how to build your own academic network, so my first suggestion for you is to start to pay attention to networking as early as possible. In fact, you should start to build your networks even when you are still an undergraduate student for the following reasons. So first of all, good networks are not created overnight. They take time and need to be maintained and developed over the longer term. In addition, as I explained to you earlier, you could easily destroy the possible networks that you could have built with minimum effort if you do not pay attention to networking. For example, when I work with my students, whether it's undergraduate students or graduate students, I always tell them to write good emails. At least they should make sure that their emails do not contain any grammar errors or anything that sounds rude, no matter who they are sending the email to. Because when you send email to someone, if you do not consider him or her as a potential long-term connection, you probably do not have the incentive to improve your email. But after a lousy email is received, it will take so much more effort to change the bad impression that your email has caused. I can also share with you another experience, which is a good experience to help you see why you should start networking early. This is a collaboration that I established a long time ago. So I got to know one of my long-term connections from many times ago when I was still studying my PhD at Penn State. I was a student in the Department of Engineering Science and Mechanics, and she was a student in bioengineering. We took the same course offered by bioengineering department together, and we got to know each other, and later we became very good friends. After the course, we continued to talk, and we actually found that there's some common topics that we can work on in research. So we even started collaboration, and by the time we graduated from Penn State, we actually published a paper together. So this is a work to look at how cell mechanics can be regulated by the surface topography of the substrates that the cells grew on. Although it's not a really top journals, but it was a very great experience. We have kept in touch with each other since then, and now she's an assistant professor in the United States, and we still change emails from time to time, and it was really great. Also, networking is not just to get to know more strangers. In fact, you should start networking with the people around you, especially those that you interact frequently. For example, if you're a student, your peers who are taking the same course with you, and also the course instructor could be your next targets, especially the course instructor. If you can make a good connection with him or her, he or she can be a good person to write you a recommendation letter when you need try to find a job later on. If you are doing research in a lab, your lab technician or whoever is working in the next neighboring lab would also be your next connections. Networking should be horizontal as well as vertical. So this means that you should not only focus on high-level contacts like big name professors. If you are a student or postdoc, it's actually better to try and make contacts with the other students and postdoc researchers. And maybe you will be introduced by a colleague to those big name professors later on. Who knows? In fact, it could be extremely exhausting and often not effective to independently attempt to enter into conversation with an important figure in your field. So horizontal contacts are just as valuable as vertical ones. When planning your network, consider your own qualifications and don't aim too high. In fact, it's much easier to establish connections with your peers since you are in a similar position and you have so much more common to talk about. If you are attending your very first conference, you might feel more comfortable sticking with the people you always know from your lab or program. And that's totally okay. You will still get to know, get to meet new people this way as your colleagues run into people that they know from their undergrad or master programs. And you don't have to talk to every single person in a conference, and it's also impossible. But you should try and make a real connection with the field. That way, when you go to your next conference, even if no one else from your lab or department is going with you, you will have some contacts of your own to meet up with. So that's how you gradually build up your own network. So considering you are working in an academic environment all the time, networking can occur everywhere. So it could be on your way to a campus. It could also be in your lab or in the hallway of your school buildings, or even now virtually online. So you should always actively look for other opportunities. For example, as undergraduate students, you can try to find opportunities that can get yourself involved in research. For my own experience, most faculty members would welcome undergrad students to work in their own lab. At NTU, there are many undergraduate research programs that open to students as early as even in their year 2, such as undergrad research experience on campus. We call it Eureka. Also, seeing young scholar program research, and also final year projects. So I had very good experiences mentoring undergrad students. Some of them can be even as capable as graduate students. There was one undergrad student really impressed me last year. She is an undergrad student in School of Material Science and Engineering with the second major in pharmaceutical engineering at NTU. She approached me to do an Eureka project in my lab from last August. Her performance in her Eureka project is absolutely outstanding. I can see great potential in her as a successful researcher in near future. So later on, I wrote her a recommendation letter for her nomination to attend the Global Young Scientist Summit. And her nomination was accepted successfully later on. So it was a great experience for most academics, especially PhD students and postdoc fellows or young PIs. I think attending conferences are the easiest way to meet new people in your field and start building your network. If your supervisor or department is bringing someone in to give a guest lecture, they will usually take the guest lecture out to dinner or lunch before or after their talk. And interested graduate students are often invited to attend those dinners or lunches together. At least this is the situation in our department back to my PhD program. So if you conduct research in the same field or are interested in this person's work, this is a great opportunity to make a connection with them in a more casual setting. So my suggestion is you should keep looking out for those kind of opportunities. And nowadays, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, I know most of the conferences or workshops or seminars in most universities are still held virtually online. It definitely creates additional barriers to have effective communications with your new connections. But we should also look at the situation from a positive side, because the current situation also leads to many new opportunities, especially with all the social media and online academic networking platforms, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, and ResearchGate. We have more access to those who we usually do not have chances to meet previously. For example, many researchers have started to use Twitter as a way to build new connections. You should be able to easily follow anyone in your field as long as he or she has created a Twitter account, and you can start the interactions in the next minute. Similarly, with those platforms like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, we can easily attend webinars or other talks online without leaving our home. So it's getting so much more convenient when it comes to communication. So my suggestion is you do want to take advantage of those online platforms just as alternative way to help build your own networks. And those are great resources you can take advantage of. So although it may be easy to get to know a list of contacts, the real challenge is maintaining and leveraging those connections effectively. So it's easy to get to know someone, but to maintain this relationship is not easy. So you have to know that just saying hi or exchanging business cards doesn't count as making a contact. So once you have made contacts through conferences or through your peers, guest lectures, it's important to maintain them. So the simplest way to start is with a follow-up email after the event is over. Or for example, when you get back from a conference or workshop, you can send a quick message to the new people you have met in the conference or in the workshop. You should also do so, do the same thing for the guest speakers you meet with. Then you keep in touch from there. You can send them a quick message to see if they are going to attend the next annual conference. Or if you see they publish a new paper, you can send a congratulation message to congratulate them. And also, whenever you start a new position, make sure to update with the information with your close connections. And over time, they can become an important part of your network. So one last suggestion I would like to mention here is to let others share your success and contacts. And we know when we are trying to build our own network, we ask others for advice and support. So very importantly, we make sure that you do thank others when you have received help or information. And when other people seek help from you, you should also give willingly, but not carelessly. Okay, so you should try to help each other as in the same way as how other people help you. So in that way, we'll build a healthy, sustainable community. And again, it takes time and effort to build good networks. So be patient and focus more on the long-term effect. And this is all the information and advices that I want to share with you. And thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions or want to have follow-up discussions, or if you are interested in collaborations, please feel free to contact me by email. And I thank you again, and hope you enjoy the rest of the seminar.